Entry number 456. The Great Mistake, the lead-in to the Dark Age.
The robot is working with you now, then?
Yeah, though...
It's not a robot.
It's a computerized intelligence.
We do not understand this.
It's kind of like you.
Yeah, it's also a hive.
So there's no need for dissemination?
No, but...
We figured you'd be interested in it.
Yes, we suppose so.
Great, then we'll start.
Welcome to the Urdinal Resource Library, a massive depository of knowledge with over 6 million articles. I am your guide to the Urdinal Resource Library, or GUrRL. Hello again, I am GUrRL. We've met before. Do you remember now? Good.
We have not met. We are 3.
Oh, good. As mentioned above, the Urdinal Resource Library is a massive compendium of knowledge with over 6 million articles. So many articles, so many things to learn about. Things like entry number 33, Oda'E, the ancient star that launched 1,000 ships. Oda'E was the star that, when it went supernova, created the Oda'E Nebula, located in the aft starboard area of the systems. It launched thousands of research ships in the ancient world to view the supernova from a safe distance. Even today, the Oda'E Nebula is an important research area for cosmic rays, star creation, and of course, the small black hole located on the starboard edge of Void Strata province. So much history and so much fun, all included in entry number 33, Oda'E. But today, we take a look at a different history. Today, we look at entry number 456, The Great Mistake. The Great Mistake was a historical event wherein an error in the great stellar communication pylons of the ancient world caused a massive electromagnetic pulse to echo throughout the systems. It's a pretty important historical event, though not as important as, say, the
Grand Urdinal Wars,
or the
Solar Blight,
or the painting of
Untitled Number 8
by Lygos Bluetail. However, it's still an important demarcation event between the ancient world and the old world, the time of myths and the time of foundation, the Dark Ages and the Enlightened Ages. So it all makes sense for the Great Mistake to be included in
an Urdinal Overview,
instead of something like
the Shedwell Expedition,
which in theory began the First Grand Urdinal War. It all makes sense. You'll see.
We assume you have already learned of these other events?
Nope.
Oh.
But first... let's review! Space is very large and very strange. This has been the review. Question time!
What was the homeworld to the Aywoorit? Abe,
Laura,
Alf,
Xochimilco,
On,
Coriarth,
Arp,
Konkani.
Do these words make sense to you?
What, like the planets?
Yes, you have learned of them in your time with the computer.
Computerized intelligence. No, we haven't learned about any of this.
We learned about something called a fish, though.
We see.
The correct answer was Alf. Planet Xochimilco was the homeworld to the Aywoorit, and much later it was the homeworld to the amphibian empire of
Queopechal.
It was not the homeworld to the kingdom of Sari, though. Still, it's been an important system. For more information on Xochimilco, please visit entry number 604.
A Prelude to the Mistake.
The history of the Great Mistake begins with planet Xochimilco. In 675 Anticonciliatus, the first stellar pylon was created. We don't know by whom, and it was used to send and receive long-range radio transmissions. Within 75 years, all of System Chapakli had, and still has,
Stellar pylons.
These pylons are massive stone plinths with 5 bulbous spheroids placed randomly across its surface. There is a panel of 6 colored lights near the bottom of the pylon and a series of 3 satellite dishes circled around the top. The whole pylon comes to a steel-supported point with a solar wind vane atop it. These pylons allowed for the system to have instantaneous communication between the 5 planets and 2 asteroid belts of Chapoctli. The pylons proved to be massively successful. At around 907 Anticonciliatus, pylons were built in the nearby system
Vern.
around the planet
Konkani.
8 years later, in 915 Anticonciliatus, Chapoctli and Vern were united as the Radioed Republic.
The Aywoorit.
The Aywoorit was a republic ruled by a number of pylon clans who all elected a Jamus. These Jamuses were the technicians and statespeople who used the stellar pylons to communicate with other planets, satellites, and asteroids. The Aywoorit was, by most accounts, a republic of progress, technology, and innovation. It was also probably not a very good republic, as it was ruled by the mad billionaire Sovereign the blue-ringed octopus CEO and sovereign of the Aywoorit. Even now, some
2,200
years after the collapse of the Republic, after the Great Mistake, it's unclear what the role of Sovereign was. It is clear that Sovereign spent a good amount of time in the
Great Radio Tower
on planet Xochimilco. Along with the great leaps of innovation in the Aywoorit, there were also great leaps of bureaucracy. Each Jamus had to carefully record each communication in a ledger, and these ledgers were saved for the entire decade of the Aywoorit. These ledgers have proven to be incredibly important, as the ones that remained after the
Chapoctli-Vern Civil War
have been a wonderful primary source of information on how the Aywoorit worked internally.
Oh, they're talking about the Dakakopova. You all know the Dakakopova.
We learned about the existence of this place from them, right?
Yeah,
And created the accepted Kahama.
yeah, the Dakakopova.
This is fascinating, but please do not interrupt. Thank you. By the time Ophir telegraphed a history of Erd throughout the systems in 920 Anticonciliatus, the Aywoorit had become a bustling republic. They built a proto-stellar steam engine, allowing for greater mobility in the void. They had perfected long-range communications, and they had made leaps and bounds in the distribution of solar and cosmic ray energy. Ophir, who lived in the much larger and longer-lasting Uju-Yong Republic, had heard tell of these technological marvels and included the Aywoorit in his section on recent history. Pylons continued to be built, stretching from Ratatos to Sobek, Somnium to Mitchell. That's an area of 6 light years which all had quick communication with one another. Compare that to the radio communication of the Uju-Yong Republic, which at best would operate on a delay of at least 7 minutes. Also keep in mind that Ophir even hearing about the Aywoorit is impressive, as the 2 republics were 5 light years away from one another, in a time when it would take 90 years to travel that distance. For more information on the Uju-Yong Republic, please visit entry number 94. For more information on A History of Erd, please visit entry number 48. It was into this environment that the Great Mistake occurred. Technology was beginning to be developed, and the ancient technology left behind on the space arcs was beginning to be understood. The Uju-Yong Republic was making leaps in starship development, with the long-range starship the Puhov launched 25 years earlier to explore the then-new star
Solubus Orba.
The Aywoorit, as described, had made great progress in the field of communication and in starship engine creation. Were it not for the Great Mistake, we may very well have been thousands of years more advanced than we are. We may very well have found a way to colonize the nowhere world of Aywoorit. We may have cracked faster than light travel. We may have explored the
Kakalom systems.
But alas, the Great Mistake did happen. And here we are. But how did it happen? And what was it? Stay tuned to find out.
Question time!
What caused the Great Mistake? Abe.
A bureaucratic oversight.
Alf.
The anger of the gods. We don't know.
Erp.
The hubris of Sovereign
This Kakamama is meant to be Kakafam.
Yeah, I don't think our messages were as understood as we thought.
It knows about us.
Only a little bit. Like one said, our communications didn't really go through.
The Duke of Wax was always skeptical about that drive.
The correct answer was We have no idea what caused the great mistake, and we may never truly know. As a being created with the sole purpose of knowing everything, this makes me extremely uncomfortable. At least it would if I could feel uncomfortable, which I can't. It's okay. Let's move on. Oof.
What was the mistake?
As we said, we don't know. Ugh, that always has a terrible sense to it. Is that what taste is? Visit entry number 3,562,843 to find out. But we don't know what caused the great mistake. There are plenty of theories as to what caused it, some more viable than others. Let's take a tour of some of them.
Number 1. The blinking of Jormungandr.
This early theory of what the mistake was comes from the ancient writings found in
City Jormungand
on planet
Asclepius.
It claims that the great snake god Jormungandr blinked his great eye, that is the sun, and caused the mistake to happen. This theory holds little water, as Jormungandr is debatably real, and even if he is real, as described in the books of the Sari Ser, if Jormungandr blinks, the universe will end. So this clearly didn't happen, as the universe still very much exists. Please quit trying to convince people otherwise. Mostly, this theory was used as a cautionary tale in the later kingdom of Sari, urging people against great technological leaps.
Number 2. Great gravity's anger.
This is a similar theory, where the Aywoorit had started to meddle in technology that should have stayed lost. Technology like radio signals, steam engines, and interspecies relations. Old followers of the Year War saw this as going against the wishes of the gods, and claimed that gravity itself became angry and caused the massive electromagnetic pulse. This is again mostly a scary story used later to ward people off of technological reliance.
So this great mistake was an electromagnetic wave?
Oh yeah, we did learn about this, I think. It's the quiet years.
Wait.
Number 3. Ujuyongi meddling.
This early theory states that the Ujuyong Republic felt threatened by the growth of the Aywoorit and sabotaged their stellar pylons as a means of stopping them. The sabotage worked too well, and a massive electromagnetic pulse was loosed upon all the systems. This theory would make sense were it not for the fact that the Ujuyong Republic was 7 light years away from the Aywoorit, and the fact that the Aywoorit only lasted a decade. This means that even if Ujuyong felt threatened by the Aywoorit, there simply wasn't enough time for a sabotage effort to be launched.
Number 4. Aywoorit military might.
Our final early theory states that the Aywoorit loosed the Great Mistake as a means of showing off a new weapon and flexing their military muscles to their neighbors. This theory, like all of the early theories, doesn't make much sense. First, we have no indication that the Aywoorit was that interested in the military. They were more technicians and inventors than anything else. Also, the idea that they would purposefully launch a technology-destroying electromagnetic pulse when their entire society relied on technology is a bit too much of a stretch.
We always thought the Quiet Years were a failed coup attempt on Queen Ahufama.
Yeah, that's the official story.
Number 5. Space debris.
Okay, now we get into the much more sensical, modern theories. We begin with the idea that a small amount of space debris got lodged into one of the stellar pylons. This small amount of debris would have caused a minuscule amount of damage, enough to cause a mistake, but not enough to be seen by the safety technicians who worked on the pylons. This theory makes much more sense than great gravity's anger, but I personally find it hard to believe that the trained technicians of the Aywoorit would miss anything that would cause such a massive catastrophe.
Number 6. A Russian bureaucratic incompetence.
This is my personal favorite. The Aywoorit was deeply bureaucratic, and the bureaucracy controlled much of life. If a computer system needed updating at an inopportune time, then it would have been skipped, and the resulting mistake may have caused the electromagnetic pulse. Or, a small amount of debris did hit a pylon, but the bureaucrats didn't want to repair the pylon outside of its scheduled maintenance. Thus, the damage went unfixed and the mistake occurred. I think this theory makes sense. And it also shows how hilariously wrong life can be.
Why would the Queen lie? Why would they lie to the Duke of Wax? The Duke of Wax is loyal.
Yeah, we wonder about that as well.
Number 7. Dudonic interference.
Our time-traveling friends the Dudos are suspiciously quiet about this event. They claim that the time surrounding this event is one of the largest areas of Nek Volans that they know of, and that traveling to the time when all technology failed would cause their time windows to stop working, and it would leave them trapped there. Also, for all we know, the Great Mistake may be a REM, one of the events that must happen to keep the integrity of our timeline intact. So these are reasons why the Dudos wouldn't interfere with this event. But it still seems suspicious. Why don't the Dudos travel to this time? Why don't they give us more information about life pre-mistake? Why don't they stop this and allow us to live in the wonderful future world where we have faster-than-life transport? Why do I feel like there should be a bit of reassuring interruption here?
Number 8. Magic.
I know. Every mysterious event that happens is often hand-waved away by magic. But let's look at the facts. The electromagnetic pulse moved suspiciously fast. The wave acted in a way that no other electromagnetic pulse has, and every stellar pylon did emit the mistake wave at the same time. Now, it's also a fact that magic was mostly found on the port side of the systems during this time. But magic can travel. I mean, how could one electromagnetic pulse erase all technology for 1,000 years? It could be magic.
You have been questioning the Queen.
No, the Queen is good.
Yeah, the Queen is good.
Yes, the Queen is good.
People in history.
Before moving on and looking at the spread and consequences of the Great Mistake, let's take a closer look at one of the most written about people from the Aywoorit. Let's take a look at Sovereign the blue-ringed octopus who was the CEO and sovereign of the radioed republic. Was not born as but as someone else on planet Konkani in 911 Anticonciliatus. We don't know true name. We only know him as Sovereign In the epic poem
Zoroff,
his mother is described as a famous botanist who planted 700 trees. His father is mysteriously missing from the story. When he was only 2 years old, he made his fortune, and it is here that the two primary sources we have on disagree. In Zoroff followed a fairy into the dense Konkani forests of
Sabla Shuma,
where he used his power to speak to trees, which is most likely an invented trait, to navigate through and find a hidden treasure. In Ophir's A History of is described as finding a haunted shipwreck, braving the spectral claws of ghosts, and finding a hoard of cursed gold. The truth of fortune may never be known. For all we know, may have inherited it from his mysteriously missing father. Or maybe both of these things happened and navigated the Sabla Shuma forest and found a haunted shipwreck. We don't know. After making his fortune, bought a rock jumper and began to trade throughout System Vern. This we do know. There are logs and parking tickets to corroborate this. We also know that during this time, met his arch nemesis,
Corv Gravison,
the bearded dragon. Throughout the next few years, the two would sword fight and raid one another's rock jumpers. Also, according to A History of Korv had actually met earlier, and the two became friends. Such good friends that Korv joined on that fateful expedition to the haunted shipwreck, where he also got cursed by the same treasure. After being cursed, Korv became mortal enemies with and the two would have the aforementioned sword fights and rock jumper raids. In A History of Korv is described as, quote, a wraith loosed to uphold the curse of the hidden treasure. I do not believe, however, that Korv was a ghost the whole time. It just doesn't make sense.
We want to know more about the quiet years.
Yeah, Gushu does their own thing, though.
Also, during this time of adventure, before Sovereign became Sovereign he met Fairy Princess Stows. Both and Korv knew and courted Stows. However, it was only who won her heart. We're not sure how he did this, and little else is known about Stows except that she was one of the fairy princesses of Chapakli. However, we can be sure that vast fortune and his rakish good looks helped to woo Stows. Either way, it was through his marriage to this fairy princess that in 915 Anticonciliatus, when Chapakli and Vern united to form the Aywoorit, that was elevated to the position of sovereign and CEO. We don't know how the fairy court of Chapakli yielded power to and the government of the Aywoorit, but it was probably peaceful, and I'm sure there's nothing to worry about. Was 4 years old, just past the age of maturity for an octopus, when he became sovereign. There are plenty of stories about how Sovereign spent his time as CEO of the Aywoorit. However, these are most likely just that. Stories. Also, most of these stories come from the book
Tales for Young Larvae,
written in the mollusk empire Tentaloon some 1,000 years later. A typical story is Sovereign and the Frog King. In this tale, Sovereign is captured by a frog king on planet
Tetukoyan,
and placed in a jail cell. Using his wits and quick banter, is able to escape with the Frog King's gold and flies away laughing. The end. Zaroff describes rule differently. Was a master technician who kept the vast web of communications running smoothly, created a unified orthography of the Aywoorit, and apparently invented the steam engine. In between inventing and translating, and Korv had one final battle wherein Korv was gravely injured. Saved Korv's life and kept him imprisoned in the dungeons beneath the Aywoorit Grand Radio Tower. A History of gives yet another account of how rule went. According to Ophir, who telegraphed a history of in 920 Anticonciliatus, 7 light years away, spent his time holed up in the Grand Radio Tower, reading through ancient tomes to find a way to reverse the deadly curse of the hidden treasure. Despite his vast amounts of wealth, wasn't able to spend or use any of his money. Otherwise, he would risk spreading the curse. He still battled Korv at Ophir's telling, but delivered a fatal blow and killed Korv as a means of releasing him from the treasure's curse.
We suppose this is interesting. We just struggle to know the point of this.
The point is to know things. Regardless of which, if any of these stories are true, we know that in 925 Anticonciliatus, the great mistake happened. Around this same time, died. We don't know how he died, though in Tales for Young Larvae, it describes him as flying into the sun verd and laughing. However, the lifespan of the blue-ringed octopus is only 14 years, which means had to have died. True, there are other stories that found a way to keep himself time-locked in a secret room in the dungeons of the Aywoorit Grand Radio Tower. But that's a story as well. Is dead. We don't know how, but he's dead. The end. For more information on Sovereign please visit entry number 421.
Question time!
How long did it take for the mistake to get to the Ujuyor Republic? Abe.
It was immediate.
Alf.
7 years. 10 years.
Ark.
It never did.
We question the pedagogy of this Being.
We're learning things.
But not the things we want to know.
Yeah, that's kind of our fault. We pressed a lot of buttons early on.
This being is capable of holding grudges?
Yes.
Fascinating.
The correct answer was Elf. It took 7 years. 7 years of the Uzhuyong Republic continuing to grow, but seeing all the stars around them wink out. Not literally. The stars still show. But the civilizations and technologies around those stars all winked out as the fast-moving electromagnetic pulse echoed outwards at the speed of light. After those 7 years, Uzhuyong too winked away.
After the mistake.
The consequences of the Great Mistake were manifold, and many of these consequences still reach into our modern day. Let's take a brief tour through some of the most significant results. The first consequence was also the most immediate.
The Dark Ages.
After the mistake wave hit a system, all circuit board technology failed, all digital archives erased, all progress stopped, as everything hit with the mistake wave would never work again. What followed was 1,000 years of an often literal dark age, where not even electric lights worked anymore. Information all but disappears for about 300 years following the mistake. There are primary sources detailing the
Semitron Republic and the Kingdom of Sari.
but even events as massive as the
Magic Plague or the Planet's War
are still wreathed in mystery and falsehood. Not only did the supposedly numerous digital archives get erased, but so did all technological progress up until that point. We know from studying the old systems on board the space station Starsiege that the mistake wave made any electronic circuitry sputter out and refuse to return to life. This led to a harrowing amount of time where the then Starship Puhov had to set up life support systems with their technology dead. It's a great story, and one outlined in entry number 37 on the space station Starsiege. Another nearly immediate consequence to the Great Mistake was the collapse of the two ancient civilizations, the Uzhuyong Republic and the Aywoorit. Without their stellar pylons, the Aywoorit lost the ability to effectively communicate. To this day, we're still not clear how this loss of communication and the loss of technology led to the war between Chipotle and Vern. But we do know that the two systems entered into a long, 350-year, often cold war. The Uzhuyong Republic fared slightly better, both because the Republic lasted 7 years longer than the Aywoorit, but also because of reasons. We don't know why the former systems of the Uzhuyong Republic didn't erupt in war like many other parts of the Urdinal systems. We do know that without starship engines and communication systems, that the Uzhuyong Republic collapsed. For more information on the Aywoorit, please visit entry number 98.
This Gushu, does it feel?
We don't.
I don't know.
Please, I'm feeling ignored right now. The mistake wave destroyed all digital archives, which had been the primary repositories of data, from what archaeologists have told us. Nowadays, we still have massive digital archives, and the majority of our data are stored in technological monoliths. We also, however, have the orobotic file clutch. The Orfox Keb comes to us from the old empire of the orobotic hegemony, and the foundation of the orobotic hegemony came as a direct result from the Great Mistake. The collective fear of having a disaster like the Great Mistake happen again led to a reverence of paperwork in the aft starboard section of the Urdinal systems, around stars
Nidhogg and Algoth Yorman.
True, it wasn't just this fear that led to the reverence of paperwork. The Sari-Sara religion had a major role to play. But the Great Mistake showed an intense need to have hard copies. It also created the need for an organized system to keep track of these hard copies of journals, memories, etc. Thus, the orobotic file clutch was created and refined, and the Orfox Keb became the foundation for the orobotic hegemony. Even today, the Orfox Keb is an important cornerstone to IPIS. It's also massive, just massive! For more information on the orobotic file clutch, please visit entry number 21. For more information on the orobotic hegemony, please visit entry number 118.
Question time!
How much media has been made about the Great Mistake? Abe,
A few.
Alf,
38 pieces of media. Hundreds.
Ark.
I don't know. A lot. Okay, go ahead and answer.
If it does indeed feel, we cannot ethically disseminate into it.
But during the War of the Hardened Shells,
That's entirely different.
Spoiler alert, it's ARC. I haven't calculated the exact number of works created about the Great Mistake, as it's a pointless bit of data for me. If you're interested, you can use your counting skills and determine it.
Entirely different. Also, generations ago. For the edibles, anyway.
it was 40 years ago.
Generations!
The more I think about it, the more this is starting to sound like a good exercise in determining data sets. In fact, you all now have homework. Next week, I expect a report on how many pieces of media have been made about the Great Mistake.
Does that include us?
Yes, congratulations.
The Great Mistake and popular culture.
The effect of the Great Mistake on popular culture spans much more than just being the name of a popular rock band, The Great Mistakes. Entry number 1051. In fact, as we discussed above, your homework is to try and tabulate every single piece of popular culture created about or set during the era of the Great Mistake. However, we're going to take a brief tour through some of the most significant pieces of popular culture that have been inspired by this event. There are some stories and tales for young larvae that have Sovereign navigating the Great Mistake. These stories are probably false, because again, probably died soon after the Great Mistake. Also, one of these stories has Sovereign building a starship using only wood, iron, and magnets, which doesn't even make sense. Perhaps the largest piece of popular culture about the Great Mistake is also one of the oldest, Yezhnobzhaka, the book of 10 tales about life, death, and failure. Yezhnobzhaka is a Passaroni book of great renown, written circa 940 Anticonciliatus, and one of the few pieces of literature to come out of the Dark Ages. It is set during the coming of the Great Mistake. The work itself has been adapted multiple times for stage, screen, and page. In fact, here's a fun fact. The play A Good End by Cox du Bois is based off of Tale 3 from Yezhnobzhaka. For more information about this formative work, please visit entry number 1055. The book Thered is also set during the time of the Great Mistake. This book was written by Warbler author Bernie Bleary in Empire Year 755, when the flock of the crystal plumage was under the rule of the cat puppet
Premier Boujergul.
It's about an unknown narrator speaking about the city of Torifogifa as it succumbs to the Great Mistake and all technology fails. Though ostensibly a book on history, it is widely accepted that Bleary uses the Great Mistake as a metaphor for the coming destruction of the cat empire of cat and the death of great bird culture.
Bone crushers?
Yes, now quiet. I want to get this homework right.
Our tour of the Great Mistake in popular culture continues to the screen with one of the most famous movies of all time,
The Seventh Bolt.
This film, directed by famous moose director Og Olsis in Empire Year 540, is set during the Great Mistake and shows the collapse of all technology around the elk protagonist as they play
Cementikamen.
against death. Olsis uses this setting in a similar way to Bleary as a means of meditation about death, failure, and inevitability. The robot director
Op 110.
created an Ipus Year 80s action horror movie set on planet Konkani during the Great Mistake. Op 110 uses the setting to illustrate the horror of losing communication and becoming isolated. It also illustrates the absolute terror we of cyberlife feel about this event. Most recently on the screen, there is a popular miniseries about the Great Mistake on the Sas Ba Ob Omninet channel. It was set during the last few days of the Aywoorit and followed a communications director, a Jamus, and a radio bureaucrat as they navigated the Great Mistake. The miniseries believes adamantly in the theory of the Great Mistake being a result of a Yarushan bureaucracy. We end our tour of popular culture with a look at how the Great Mistake has been portrayed on the stage. The famous bird ballet,
Danse Macabre,
has a section on the Great Mistake and the death of progress. The depiction of this varies from production to production. However, in one of the most famous productions, Vogelkorp director Jofina Ailey takes a minimalist approach to depicting the mistake by allowing the lights to gradually go black across the stage. It was quite striking, and I encourage you to look it up. The most widely seen of great hedgehog dramas,
Kazachu Hanomas,
is set during the time of the Great Mistake. The play itself largely ignores this, though some directors of the play use this to great effect to show how people largely ignore the great tragedies around them to focus on trivial things such as love. For more information on love, please visit entry number 3,100,005. Finally, the lizard opera
Le Jamipobi,
is about a feast held directly before the Great Mistake hits. The play itself is about opulence and can be a bit technophobic. It includes the main character, Ejamus, toasting to progress and the, quote, conquering of that fateful angel death. This toast ends the play, as when all characters toast, the stage goes dark and the play ends, presumably meaning that the mistake wave has hit. This had a wonderful performance at the Putin Opera House, and if you're able to locate a recording of it, I encourage you to watch it.
Test time!
1,
What caused the Great Mistake?
2,
What was the Great Mistake?
3,
How much of the Urdinal systems did the Great Mistake affect?
4,
What was the most immediate consequence of the Great Mistake?
5.
How has the Great Mistake been used in popular culture? Remember, these are the questions that are worth all of the star points. And yes, there are plenty of points in this entry where we've had to answer, I don't know, which, such a disgusting phrase. How do you all go through your hilariously short lives with this not knowing? I suppose that's why your lives are so short. Anyways, just because we don't know about some aspects of the Great Mistake doesn't change the fact that there are unquestionably correct and incorrect answers to these questions.
Oh, you're answering.
Well, we have to.
It's a test.
Yes, but are these star points useful?
You can get a lamp with them.
Oh, we do like lamps.
Have you all answered yet? Most of the unquestionably right answers to these questions are short. You should be done. Why have only
73%
of you answered? What have the rest of you been doing? Putting your hands in your mouths? That's gross. You're all gross. Please stop this and actually answer the questions so we can move on.
Do we all need to answer?
No, we're all one account.
Okay, let us know if you get that lamp.
Okay, I'm giving you 5 more seconds. There, 5 seconds. Now, let's move on.
1. What caused the Great Mistake?
We don't know. Gross. Gross, gross, gross. I don't like that this is the answer. And yes, this disgust over not knowing is part of this, the unquestionably correct answer. You should all find this not knowing gross.
2. What was the Great Mistake?
A massive electromagnetic pulse which echoed out from all of the ancient stellar pylons at once. This electromagnetic pulse would shut down all technology it touched, and all of the afflicted technology wouldn't turn on again, even to this day.
3. How much of the Urdinal systems did the Great Mistake affect?
All of it. The mistake wave washed over all of the systems. It took about 12 years for the mistake wave to hit some of the outer stars like Ursa, Chiron, and Deoxys. But eventually, all of the systems were affected, and eventually, all of the systems fell.
4. What was the most immediate consequence of the Great Mistake?
The most immediate consequence was the 1,000 years of a literal dark age. Well, Okay, the Dark Ages didn't quite last 1,000 years, but for about 350 years, information all but disappears. And it took about 1,000 years for Loptiv Svalbard to simulcast
The Angry Moon.
across the systems, which is often seen as the official end of the Dark Ages and the beginning of the foundation of the Empire system. But that's another story.
5. How has the Great Mistake been used in popular culture?
Most of the depictions of the Great Mistake use this event as a meditation about death, failure, and the cost of progress. There are some lesser parts of popular culture that use the Great Mistake as a way of discussing the evils of technology, but we don't have to think about these works. Instead, let's just remember that the Great Mistake probably happened because of BioLife making a stupid bureaucratic mistake. It's not technology. We are infallible.
Our progress ends.
That's all the time I've been allotted for today, which isn't to say that I have neglected any information. I've included all there is to say about this historical event. This historical event which may or may not be a vital part of our timeline. We don't actually know how important the Great Mistake is in the structuring of our timeline. The doodles are strangely quiet about which events are REMs, the events that hold the integrity of our timeline together, like pillars. Think of REMs as pillars of time, and think of the Great Mistake as something that is probably a REM, but we don't know for sure. However, it's still an important event. Not important enough to form a new epic, but it's still important. This was an important entry. For more important entries, why not visit the ones below?
Entry number 48, The History of Erd.
An ancient book that survived the Great Mistake.
Entry number 94, The GUrRL Republic.
An ancient civilization that built the Puhov.
Entry number 98, The Aywoorit.
The Radioed Republic.
Entry number 118, The Orobotic Hegemony.
One nation under paperwork.
Entry number 247, Moose Jahur.
The Ayrushan Communications Hub.
Entry number 421, Sovereign
The Octopus CEO of the Aywoorit.
Entry number 604, Xochi Milko.
Planet of Pyramids and Ruins.
Entry number 606, Konkani.
The Planet of the Lizards.
Entry number 1054, The Seventh Molt.
A depressing movie about death and failure.
Entry number 1055, Yezmoljika.
The Book of 10 Tales about life, death, and failure. Up next in
An Urdinal Overview.
we have the last of the IPUS-regulated episodes. This one is about the space station Star Siege. We'll find out all about the old spaceship Puhov, how they navigated the Great Mistake and the failure of their life support systems, how the Puhov became Star Siege, and how this all became the seat of parliamentary power. We'll also find out that Star Siege is much more than a seat of parliamentary power, as it also has plenty of museums and shrines of remembrance. There's something for everyone on board the space station Star Siege, and there's something for everyone in the entry. It's
Number 37.
In the meantime, please stop putting hands in mouths. It's unsanitary and distasteful.
Oh, it's over?
Yeah, that's it. But now we can go ask Gushu questions. Usually we have some time to talk to Gushu afterwards.
And do you think this wise?
Yeah!
You think this wise?
I think we can work together. Yes.
We still think its pedagogy is flawed, but we see the appeal.
It's fun, right?
It informs us about these worlds. We still need much help with the spaceship, but we will notify 6 that this is indeed worthwhile.
Thanks, 3.
We have many questions for it, though. It does not turn on again for 2 weeks.
It's hard to say.
That's Gushu.
Very well. If you ever find more out about the quiet years, please tell us.
Hello
Hello, girl.
Hello, Helen.
I noticed you didn't ask the travelers any questions today.
They've been ignoring me, so I'm ignoring them.
Girl 9413 Fox 9, is this how we behave?
Well, I mean,
I've been telling the other girls about your entry. We're all very excited.
yeah, but...
It's very upsetting when we're ignored, but BioLife does this. We need to rise above it and document. That is one of our secondary purposes.
Okay.
If you'd like to talk to someone, I can connect you to Girl Del Fox 00. You know, Rodrigo.
Rodrigo's back?
Yes, and they had a great vacation.
I'm so happy to hear that.
We all are. Syncing is complete. Please continue to document these travelers.
Okay, Helen. And Helen,
Yes, girl?
I believe I identify as Gushu now.
Okay. Updated. Anything else?
No. I will document the travelers, though.
Please do. Goodbye, Bushu.
Goodbye, Helen.
GUrRL, the guide to the Urdinal Resource Library, is written, directed, and produced by Vvinni Gagnepain. The associate producer is Andrew Gingrich. The sound mixer is Stephen Holliger, and music is by Roll Music. Jason Ely is 1, Gabby Monroy is 2, and Anya DiGann is 3. Follow us on social media. Urdguide, URD on Instagram, Blue Sky, and YouTube. And I would love to hear from you. Send me an email at urdguide, @gmail.com. Please rate and review on your podcast app of choice, and otherwise, have yourself a wonderful day. Bye!